Japanese whiskey has become a luxury symbol, a shorthand for taste, for status, I know what I'm doing. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Some of the most worshipped bottles from Japan are built more on image than liquid. And if you've bought them recently, there's a good chance you didn't just overpay. You paid for a story that quietly changed while no one was looking. Number 8. Hibiki Harmony. Hibiki Harmony looks like the definition of premium Japanese whiskey. Elegant bottle, gift-ready presentation, and a reputation built on balance and refinement. But once you look past the glass, the specs start to soften. Bottled at a polite 43% ABV, chill-filtered, designed for mass appeal, and built from a blend that prioritizes consistency over character, Harmony drinks thinner than its image suggests. The price has climbed far faster than the liquid has improved, often sitting at a level where complexity should be undeniable. Yet the palate fades quickly, leaving sweetness without structure. The disappointment hits later, when drinkers realize they weren't paying for depth or intensity, but for how the bottle looks on a shelf and how safe it feels to give as a gift. Number 7. Yamazaki 12 Year. Yamazaki 12 used to be a benchmark, a reference point. Today it survives mostly on memory. Bottled at 43%, filtered and produced under massive demand pressure, the current releases often feel restrained compared to what the price implies. The oak influence is gentler, the fruit notes lighter, and the finish shorter than many expect at this tier. What hurts most is the value gap. Bottles now sit in price territory where bolder, more transparent whiskeys exist. Yet, Yamazaki 12 asks you to pay extra for reputation. The emotional letdown comes when buyers realize they're chasing a version of this whiskey that no longer exists in the glass. Number 6. Hakushu 12 Year. Hakushu 12 trades heavily on the idea of freshness and mountain purity. Green labels, forest imagery, a clean and herbal reputation. But again, the specs tell a quieter story. 43% ABV, chill-filtered, engineered for approachability. The smoke is restrained, the texture light, and the development stops just as it gets interesting. At its current price, the experience feels incomplete, not flawed, just diluted. Many buyers only realize this after a few pours, when the excitement fades and they're left wondering why something so expensive feels so fleeting. Number 5. Nikka Coffee Malt. This bottle benefits from confusion. The coffee still sounds exotic, historical, and craft-driven, and Nikka leans into that image. But coffee malt is bottled at 45%, filtered and designed to be sweet, soft, and immediately likable. The mouthfeel is oily at first, then collapses into confectionery notes that don't evolve. The price often suggests innovation and depth, yet the experience is closer to a novelty than a serious malt. Drinkers feel misled not because it's bad, but because it promises discovery and delivers repetition. Number 4. The Cheetah. The Cheetah is marketed as refined Japanese grain whiskey, smooth, elegant, and subtle. And it is smooth, almost too smooth. Bottled at 43%, filtered and intentionally gentle, it offers very little resistance on the palate. At its price, that smoothness becomes a liability. There's no tension, no progression, no reason to revisit it beyond the first impression. The disappointment lands when buyers realize they paid a premium for absence, for what isn't there. If this sounds harsh, take a breath. Japanese whiskey isn't broken. The marketing is. Away from the spotlight, there are bottles still built for people who drink, not display. They don't shout, they don't pose, they just perform. Number 3. Mars EY Tradition. Mars EY Tradition is the bottle that forces people to reconsider the prejudice that affordable Japanese whiskey inevitably compromises on quality. Right from its core structure, EY Tradition displays a level of intent rarely found at this price point. The mouthfeel is rounded and firm, never thin or watery. It offers clearly defined layers of malt, soft caramel, oak spice, and ripe fruit. On the palate, it avoids that sugar rush sweetness followed by a quick fade, a common trait in mass-market bottles. Instead, it develops gradually with meaningful accents and a proper conclusion. The finish isn't ostentatiously long, but it's persistent enough to stay with you and invite another sip. The most vital takeaway? You don't feel cheated. You aren't paying for the prestige, the heritage, or a vague marketing narrative. You're paying for the liquid in the glass and that experience punching well above its weight class. This is the definition of a real deal. A whiskey that doesn't need a halo of hype because the spirit stands entirely on its own merit. Number 2, Nika Yoichi Single Malt. Yoichi stands as definitive proof that a major distillery can retain its soul, provided they choose to. While many modern Japanese whiskeys have been thinned out, sweetened, and tamed for the masses, Yoichi preserves a robust structure, malt-forward, kissed by smoke, and defined by a distinct coastal influence. The ABV is dialed in to carry the flavor, not just the aroma. On the palate, there is an immediate weight on the tongue, followed by a slow evolution of peat, brine, orchard fruits, and kiln-dried wood. This isn't the kind of whiskey that tries to wow you with a flashy first sip. Instead, it reveals a sense of logic and seamless integration the longer you sit with it. What elevates Yoichi above far more expensive bottles is its sheer honesty. It doesn't mask its flaws or hide behind a flowery narrative. It drinks like a whiskey for those who have tasted enough to no longer need their hand held. Number 1, Akeishi, entry releases. Most drinkers still cling to the notion that Japanese whiskey must be light, smooth, and approachable. Akeishi completely defies that stereotype. Even with their entry-level expressions, the distillery showcases a clear-cut philosophy. They don't craft whiskey for a quick impression, but to command your full attention. The ABV is kept high enough to maintain structural integrity without diluting its character. The mouthfeel is viscous and weighty, driven by notes of maritime peat, brine, kombu, and dark malt. On the palate, the whiskey unfolds slowly. Layers of flavor deconstruct themselves with precision rather than blending into a singular, easy profile. The finish is long and slightly drying, carrying a mineralic, sea spray quality, a sense of place that many famous Japanese labels have sacrificed in pursuit of mass-market appeal. What makes Akeishi worth the price isn't a high-age statement or mere rarity. It's their uncompromising spirit. They don't make whiskey to look more prestigious than it is. They make it to be, unapologetically, whiskey. At the end of the day, whiskey doesn't care how famous the label is. It only tells the truth when you pour it into a glass. What separates hype from substance isn't nationality, age statements, or how often a bottle shows up on Instagram. It's specs, it's texture. It's whether the whiskey was made to be admired or actually enjoyed. If this video challenged a bottle you love, that's not a bad thing. That's how better drinking starts. If you found value here, take a second to like the video and subscribe. Not to support me, but so this kind of no-brand bias whiskey content doesn't get buried under marketing noise. Now, I want to hear from you. Which Japanese whiskey do you think doesn't deserve the hype? And which one do you think I was too hard on? Tell me in the comments. I read them. And in the next video, we're shifting gears. Because Japan isn't the only place where hype has replaced honesty. Next up, stop chasing hype. These 15 American bourbons people really drink in 2026. Yes, I'll see you there.